I wanted to talk on the subject today. So today's a leadership thought. The subject title is Insulted and Surprised, Not Inspired. Insulted and surprised, not inspired. Okay, so go with me. It's grade 7, and there was this stupid game going around, and you would just take chalk and you would write on someone's back, right? And I don't know, it was the thing in grade 7, and we were doing that, right? And so everything's like, we're all doing this game, and then so I write on my friend's back, and he seems super angry, and I'm like, oh, whatever. So I just give him, I walk over to him thinking, I don't care about chalk on my back, so I give him the marker, like the chalk, and I go to put it in his hand, and next thing you know, I kind of lose orientation for a second, and that's because I got punched in the head from my friend, and I'm like, oh, okay, so we're on. So we end up in this full-on brawl in the middle of computers like class, which was called computers, because we put S's at the end of things for some reason in Australia, like maths. And so like we end up in this fight, and I remember being so shocked, but at the same time, this was like this small moment where I was interested in doing like boxing and stuff like that. And the thought came to me was that like, although you kind of prep for these moments, I was very insulted by it, which kind of rightly so, because we were all just writing on each other's backs with chalk, and he took it a little bit too far. But I just thought of this kind of parallel that I see a lot in church ministry and leadership. And it is this sense that we train for something, and then when it happens, we're both surprised and insulted. Yeah. You know what I mean? And where I think that happens in ministry is, I was talking to someone and they were just telling me the feedback they got from, one of the people in their small group. Actually, it was my son telling me the feedback that someone told him they got at a small group, so cruisy. And, the person said something ridiculous, even challenged, their leader in a small group setting. And I remember and it was almost like, can you believe that? And my response was, absolutely, because that's our job. And I think that a lot of the time in church, what we sign up for, and even in life, in the workplace, this is the difference between a leader's mentality and a manager's mentality. A manager signs up to do that, manage tasks, get things done. But leaders sign up to build people, instill vision, bring culture. So if that's what you sign up for, I think that there's too many leaders that are insulted by the work and surprised by the work, not inspired by it. And so for me, when I see someone display attitude, or you try lead someone to something like, nah, don't want to do it. I think Sundays is for me. And you're like, okay. Or you're like, hey, could you go do this? Can you do it yourself? Or, hey, have you ever thought of stepping up? No, I'm happy where I am. Or, hey, so why don't you give? Because it's my money. Okay. Have you ever thought of growth track? I don't like crowds. I'm actually just struggling to even be here on a Sunday. Right. Hey, I love that you said God spoke to you a lot. Who's this new girlfriend after you just said that you needed to stop having girlfriends? Oh, yeah, nah, that's my new girlfriend. Oh, right, okay. Or, hey, how's the consistency going? Amazing. Just quit my 3rd job for the year. Right. Leadership is this compilation of crazy statements that are in direct contradiction to the person's goal, confession, and everything we stand on. Everything in the Bible. You could just finish a series on sacrificial serving, and somebody would be like, I really think that, people ask too much of me. Yeah. And it's like, okay, so we preached it and it went this way. Mm-hmm. But what I've found, both in Christian conferences, man, you talk to pastors, you talk to anyone that's been in ministry for a minute, and there's this sense of, and sometimes a statement of, man, the work's never finished. And I'm like, exactly. And they're like, exactly. And I'm like, exactly. And they're like, exactly. Exactly. I think we're insulted around the work we should be inspired about. And the way I said it to my son, I said to Cruzy, I was like, man, this is what we signed up for. We are actually here for attitudes. We're here for what my old pastor used to call stinking thinking. We're here for contradiction. We're here for, man, your life does not line up to your confession. We're here for, you don't know your word yet. We're here for, you must not have read the scriptures. We're here for that. That's the actual job. The rosters, the sending emails, the lattice, all that stuff is just our means to an end. It's part of it. It's kind of like family dinner is not about the moment you spend cooking it, but the moments where we get to enjoy what's being cooked and we get to talk and we get to do. I think we often miss the work through the work. And what ends up happening is you get insulted and surprised by what ministry is awaiting you to do or your work is waiting for you to do. And therefore we miss it. And then we start complaining. And then we start feeling burdened. And then we start feeling insulted and almost maligned as if, God, why have you given me this? And I think I want to just say that we have to expect the work, because otherwise it'd be like this. It'd be like you being in construction, showing up to the construction site and being insulted that there's not already a building. Yeah. Or being a chef and being angry that at every beginning of every shift, you are not sitting there sending out already made meals. Right. Or being an accountant, and why does someone come to you with unfinished taxes? But that's how we treat ministry. So I wanted to just shift that today and go, can we align on better expectations of what it is to do ministry? Because it shouldn't feel as a burden. It actually is what we do. We build people. We help them find convictions. We help them understand Jesus. We help them see themselves and not just everybody else. We help them fall in love with the vision. We help them learn how to put kingdom first, and therefore everything will be added to you. My challenge today is, are you insulted and surprised by the work, or is it inspiring you? So my first point is, so my thought is this: all of our points are going to be along what should we expect when we show up to our calling. I love the moment where Ananias is spoken to by Jesus, and in this moment where he's told to go pray for Paul, and this is both a great story of sacrifice, courage, and carrying your cross. Ananias is absolutely afraid of going to talk to this man, Paul, who was named Saul, known for locking up believers. This is a dangerous task. It requires a hell of a lot of faith, and he needs to go. But in that statement of go pray for this man, God says to him, for I have shown this man how much he must suffer for my name's sake. He is my chosen vessel. And it's really awesome that if we're going to carry all that God has planned for us, we have to also count the cost of how much that's going to cost us to deliver that to people. And so I want to say, let's just align on the expectations of leadership today. Let's talk about what a good Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday would look like if you're leading, right? So number one is this. The first thing that you should expect to show up to is a plate full of problems. If you're showing up to a plate full of problems, you showed up to work that day. Because as a leader, if we kind of take one of the things that we've been talking a lot, and you're there to implement vision, well then vision is not simply you casting dreams. Right. That's, I think, low-hanging fruit of vision. Everybody thinks visionary is that you know how to dream. Visionary is about you know how to see. So my thought is, if you're a good leader, do you see the potential in the problem? Do you see that this could actually be something other than what it is? And in fact, what makes you a great leader and what makes you someone that has leadership sight is that you look at problems and you see vision fulfilled. You see potential. Because if you're going to walk away from everybody with an attitude, you're going to keep walking. And I think what we often do as leaders is we actually create disclaimers out of what should actually become a opportunity. Our disclaimer is, man, I would be leading better, but no one wants to do it. I would be leading, but people don't stick to my team. I would be leading, but they have attitude. Yes, that's exactly it. Back to our analogy, that would be like a builder saying, I would have a building, but all I have is bricks and concrete and tools. Exactly. You have everything you need to make a leader out of someone. And if you're going to make a leader out of someone, you need to actually understand that part of that is breaking the ground of problems. So I think too many people are insulted by ministry, burdened by the team they lead, because what you want is ready-made leaders that are there to carry a team and bring solution rather than build leaders that know how to be a solution. Nothing is gifted, guys. Everything is earned. If it's been gifted to you, you're probably going to want to need to change it anyway. So how do you now shift your lens in this series of Aperture and go, oh, hold up. Doing ministry is about the opportunity to see the potential in the problems. Yes. So I want you to think of the person that gives you those problems. I mean, who's the furthest from being engaged at the moment under your leadership? That's your first problem to solve. Who do you see that has all the potential in the world and none of the effort? That's a problem. It's a Rubik's Cube. You got to dive deep into that person. It's sitting across from that person and wondering, why are you not engaged? I promise you, it comes back to a wound, a lie. It comes back to an experience, a fear, whatever is going on there. It is your job as a visionary to also be able to see through the pain to get to the potential. But I see too many people in church that are actually insulted by someone's pain. Because there's that age-old saying, right? Like, hurt people hurt people. If you're a leader hurt by the people you lead, it's because they're hurt people. If you can't see through the pain to turn them into someone that can actually lead, then I don't think you're going to be able to do this. So what's the best tool to do that? Patience. Patience is the ability to sift through something that you wanted yesterday so that you'll actually be able to sow it today and have it tomorrow. Do you sift through the problem? If you show up with that, I think it starts to change some things. Second thing, you show up to basically bridge the gap. How good are you at bridging gaps? I would say this, if you've been in your role for any longer than 12 months and you have not replicated and you do not have leaders around you yet, you can chalk it up to whatever you want, but it's because of you. And I'm not trying to be horrible or rude. I would apply it, and I do apply the exact same measure to myself. Sometimes it's as simple as you got distracted with the wrong work. If you do not carve out work and space to break the cycle, just expect to live in it. Church will not grow to a point where it will offer you leaders that are ready-made. You're going to have to call them. So if you're in an area that needs more people in it, you've got to start thinking of a way, which in church life is just called a leadership pipeline. What is your leadership pipeline? And have you broken up people that are 3 months away, 6 months away, 9 months away, and 12 months away from being usable? What that does for us, it's an exercise in being vision casters. It's an exercise in making the invitation no matter how many times the invitation has been rejected. Man, I've tried to bring people to my team, but I never have the right people. Well, you know what? For 12 years, I tried to get people to be on the core level of building this, and they weren't always there. Does that mean that I stopped doing it? If the right thing is the right thing, just because it didn't turn out right doesn't mean you stop doing it. That's great. And I think a lot of leaders give up on the right thing because they're burdened by it turning out wrong. I would honestly speak to peers often, and I'll be like, man, why don't you cast vision anymore? Well, I tried it, and when I did it, the church didn't like it. I tried it, and every time I cast vision, people are excited for the first 6 months, and then they go. Okay, cool. So we know that sub 6 months you got something right. What's happening that's breaking it at the 6 month mark? Why throw out the beginning because you don't get to the end? Right. How many people right now don't have what you need on a team? And I will tell you that most of the time it's we abandon what is right because it didn't play out well. But there's so many factors to this thing. Don't get insulted by the work. Show up the next day and keep sifting through, because your job is to bridge the gap between where someone is and where they're called to go. That requires teaching. Have you taught them on the very thing that they are stuck on? If they're stuck on, man, I don't know if it's worth it. All right, let's teach on that. What does the Bible say about our sacrifice and it being worth it? Store up treasures in heaven where moth and rust don't get to them. Do not store them on this side of things. Number one. Like, that's one. Wow, Jesus, he's a model of sacrifice. Like, if you do not bring the people revelation, but you expect them to think at a new level, how is that going to work? What did Jesus say to Peter? Do you love me? Yes, Lord, you know that I love you. Feed my sheep. Do you love me? Feed my lambs. Do you love me? Feed my sheep. The emphasis was, if you feed them. Now, you do not just feed them food, you feed them thought. And if you don't teach them how to think about it different, don't expect that there'll be a different outcome in the way that they show up for you. I think sometimes we think pastoring is about listening to problems instead of correcting mindsets. You listen to the problem to unveil the mindset so that you can then speak to it. I think this is the art of building people. You cannot get insulted when you show up and somebody feels so far from where you want them to be. Bridge the gap. Bridge the gap. Third thing is, don't avoid the small things that eventually create a big thing. Can I just say that sometimes showing up, right, to leading people, the small things feel overwhelming. Because you're like, do I really have to address this? Do I really have to talk about this? The way they speak to people, the way they don't get their work done, the way that they feel angry, the way that they don't read their word, the way that they're late to group, the way that they leave group first, the way that they're not in a group, the way that they're still not leading a group. Man, do I have to talk about this? And so what we do is we go, it's not that big a deal, until it becomes a really big deal. And I feel like quite often we avoid these little small things in people, guys. And, you know, small things, honestly, sometimes make you feel like you're doing a lot of nothing. But we were saying this thing in our executive level and at our ministries meeting, that is, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. I think we're obsessed with fast, so we don't try actually do quality work. Quality work brings smooth operating. Smooth operating becomes fast moving. I think we often think that our day is too big, our life is too full, and we're too fast. We've got so much on our plate to stop for the small thing. The problem is the small thing will stop you. Like, I remember as a skateboarder, the number one fear you have is of loose stones. Man, they're the worst. I remember skating to see my friends, and we're all skating at this gas station, and I'm like doing a manual, and I'm thinking pretty cool. I got my new watch on, I'm skating up. It's slow motion in my mind, and I catch a rock. I slam myself so hard that my shoulders touch, right? And I can't breathe now. So now it's super embarrassing because I fell and I can't get up because I'm going. So now, it's just the worst kind of stack. I wasn't even doing a trick. It sucked. And it was just a stupid stone. And I honestly think that is so relatable, because you can get the wind taken out of you in ministry and leadership because of the small thing that seems so small and insignificant, but it'll bring a whole operation to an end. So my question is, are you smoothing out the people you lead? Are you smoothing out your team? Or is it too far? Are you moving too fast? Are you moving too big? Is it too difficult to get to that thing? I want to encourage you, start looking for the small things a bit more. Because slow is smooth and smooth is fast. And I think that a lot of us would go better if we started addressing some of the small things. I'll tell you this, small things at the surface are only there because of big things at the root. If it's a small thing on the surface, if it's usually visible, it's part of a bigger connected issue. And I want to encourage you, stop and ask. Be a thorough builder. Paul says this, I have laid the foundation like a master builder. If there's anything I've learned between the difference between me when I build and a master builder, I say good enough, they say not good enough.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not going to really affect it, is it? And what I learned is just a small little corner, just not chiseled out right. At the end of the day, when you install that bench, or that top, that tabletop, the tabletop's off by an inch. Because a small amount here is a massive amount here.
Yeah.
And I think that from the feedback I'm hearing from you all, I'm here because I'm getting feedback on how your team's not growing, on, man, this person, on the sense of, man, I wish these people got it more. I'm telling you right now, it's quite often not the ability of the person, it's the state of the person. And not everybody works like you. And not everybody works like the person that got it before. I think the beauty and the intrigue and the difficulty of leadership is that God made everybody so intrinsically different.
Yeah.
And because you've got to go in there and find the differences in order to know where they're stuck, if you don't pay attention to the person, you'll actually never develop the leader. There is a leader within every person, but it requires you to see things. And I think the first thing you've got to see is the small things. From the feedback I'm getting from all the teams, we overlook such small things that are actually big things, but we feel so overwhelmed. Why? Because Sunday comes so fast. And I think we get so caught up. But here's the thing. Sunday's kind of going to be here every week until we die. So it's always coming. So that can't be the thing that blocks us from doing quality work. Because if you don't do quality on Monday, Sunday becomes scary.
Yeah.
So better to sacrifice a few Sundays to get more Sundays right than actually save a lot of Sundays at the outset and limit the impact of the Sundays to come. What conversations are you not having? Do you let people quit your team before you call them to more? I see that a lot when I talk to a lot of you all. I ask you, did you call them to more? Did you challenge them? Did you set something out there? When I say challenge, it's as simple as this. Hey, I know you want to quit, but man, I really kind of saw more for you on this.
Yeah.
And if I dive into some of the work, I've watched that you're really not good at empowering people. And you're feeling overwhelmed, and I think that's connected. Can we take 3 weeks to pray about this together? And while we pray about it, can we do this Bible study together? And can we talk about this word together? And then let's do 2 dev sessions. I'm a big believer on how you end a season determines how you start a season. If you really are their leader, AKA shepherd, you care about how they exit your pasture.
Yes. Yes. So good. Wow.
So if your team is you, yourself, and no one else, I just think you're missing this. And I would encourage you to start asking yourself, do I see myself as somebody who bridges the gap? Because they can't get there if you don't play that role. And you'll always be stuck wanting for team and leaders if that doesn't happen, okay? Fourth thing, expect disagreement. And learn how to look for it without it being verbalized.
Yeah, that's good.
Not every disagreement has been spoken to you. In fact, most of the time, it won't be. But I know that so many leaders, this is the number one thing they hate. And I hate it. It's not fun. It's not the part, it's the part of the work that's maybe carrying the cement with the wheelbarrow all the way up to, the bricklayers. I did that for 2 weeks. It was horrible in 40 degrees Celsius, 90 something degrees American weather. And my job was simply to be like the brickies laborer. A brickie in Australia is a bricklayer. I was a brickies laborer. So I'd go down to the bottom of the basement of this high rise. I would mix concrete, or it was like a apartment complex. I'd mix concrete and then I'd bring them up and they were just building a little fence. And then I got stung in the hand by a bee. And I had to carry the wheelbarrow. No one sigh. You could sigh if you want. It was tough. It was tough, guys. And it was just a crappy job, man. But it needed to be done. And I think there's some aspects of addressing the disagreement that is like the crappy job.
Yeah. Yes.
But if you know it's your job, you actually do it.
That's right.
Yeah.
But if you don't think it's your job, you're insulted by it.
Yeah.
And I think more often than not, talking to pastors at conferences, friends, or people on this team, I've noticed that we feel a level of insult when people disagree.
Yeah.
But I think if they agreed, they'd have your job. If they agreed, they would be the next greatest leader.
Yeah.
I actually think, for the most part, you have to welcome disagreement more because it shows where they're really at and it shows what you got to teach them. They don't agree. Why? Because they've got a different way of looking at it. They've got a different way of thinking about it. They've got a different way of chopping it up. And I think too many times we feel that discord in a team and we start avoiding that team member. But what you're actually doing is, that's like being a teacher and not showing up to the classroom.
Right.
You know they are not going to pass the test, but you don't want to teach them what they need to know. And your job is to go, hey, I've noticed that when we talk this, you kind of have an apprehension.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
That's good. That's really good.
Yeah, well, I just don't think it's right. Okay. More of that, please. Tell me, why don't you think it's right? I think that what we love doing at the moment is we have a, in golf terms, grip it and rip it mentality. We have when you're a kid and you're skateboarding, you just close your eyes going down a big hill and you just hope that when you open your eyes again, you're at the bottom and you're still standing. I think that's the way we do leadership a lot. You're on my team, this is what we're doing, I just hope you don't quit and I hope you turn into a leader. No, they're not, because guess what? They've got questions all the way down that hill.
Yeah.
All the way down that hill, they are carrying with them
Yeah.
their mum, their dad, their wounds, their failings, their ideas, the world's ideas, the article they read, the Instagram post they just saw, the influencer, the friends that disagree, their tough week, their rough morning, they stub their toe, they've got bills, and they're coming down with all of this, shaking down a hill, and they're wondering, I love that we're going down the hill, but are we going to make it up the other side?
Right.
Most people are not serving because they don't want to. They just got things like, how do I do my full-time work, which I'm not getting promoted in? I've got this over here, and you're asking me to jump on this thing that is really in the nice to do category. Being on your team is a nice to do. Now we've got a vision problem again. And a vision problem is an education problem. Because what do we do at People Church as a team that most people conflict with, which is this: we say yes to vision before we say yes to how.
Yeah.
But 99% of environments limit their vision according to whether they know how. And you've got people saying no to your team and no to your call to ministry and no to your grow group and no to your age group because what they don't know is how.
Yeah.
And that disagreement is where you activate. And when you activate and you show them a way, you watch how people's interest peaks, because most people do not do because they don't think they can. Someone was talking to me the other day and they're like, man, I've started a whole business on just helping people start.
Yeah, man.
I was like, really? They're like, it dawned on me. I'm a great starter and everybody I talk to has all these great ideas and they're actually good at what I'm not good at. The person was saying, I'm not good at getting it going. Like, I'm not getting it going, at taking it further. That stuff bores me. In fact, I suck at it. But I went through years of people saying to me, man, you're an ideas person. Man, what's the next thing we should be doing? Man, how did you start that? Man, how did you pull all those people in a room? And the person said, it dawned on me that I'm a really good starter. And that I could help some people start, because most of the people I talk to, and they particularly were saying that most of the people that come talk to them are people with business ideas or app ideas. And they can't for the life of them consider how they might get investors without a product yet. They don't know where to even start. They're terrible with naming things. And this person has built a whole living on helping people start. I would say more people that you have counted as disinterested, disengaged, they don't have the time, they either don't see what you're calling them to, or they don't see how they could do it. And I would say even bigger than that, let me tell you the real problem though. The real problem in this room and on this screen is not that they don't see how they get it done. You don't see how they get it done.
Yeah.
The reason you're not pushing them is because you agree with them.
So good.
I'm not going to call you to more because I don't see how you could even do more. I'm not going to call you to more because I don't think you could even do it. I don't know. I don't think. So you're not calling people because you're convinced. And what that's called is you're saying they're no for them. Be careful. Be careful the reality you speak and decide to believe in. And many leaders have this reality that their team is unbuildable. You know what the worst reality than unbuildable is? Because at least that's a finite, sealed fate. I think the worst one is this. It's not the season. That is the biggest leadership killer that I've ever seen, is it's not the season. And it killed me for a long time. For a long time, I lived as a victim, planting this church, frustrated off the years of trying to get it going. And I even started to tell odds, you know what? I got angry at God and I threw my hands up in a little hissy fit. And I was like, well, God, if you're the one that makes it move anyway, and it doesn't matter what I do, I'm just going to wait till you're ready. I won't quit, but I am giving up. I think there's a lot of people in leadership that won't quit because you're too prideful to quit, and it's serving you in this case. But you have given up. And you've given up, or at least put yourself on layaway or hold or bench until the season changes. And the truth of that matter is that that is the worst death, because it is the death of being lukewarm. And you will camp there and you won't even realize that 3 years have passed and you still have not achieved what you need to achieve. Wow. And the reason is you believe that the season is your greatest adversary. You think the season is the reason you haven't built leaders. And I'll tell you, it's never the season. It's just never the season. Because if you're waiting for seasons to align, I promise you, it's just never, they never do. Yeah. The question every leader must ask themselves is, what fruit should I be planting in this season? How should I move in this season? I can't avoid life because there's a winter. I've got to dress for it. So if you're avoiding building leaders because your plate's full, learn to dress for it. And you've got to ask yourself, all right, what am I not calling? How am I not seeing it? Because the reality of not challenging leaders and not helping them and saying they're no for them is that you don't see a way forward for them. But I've never met a leader, and you could just marinate on this for a few days if you want. I've never met a leader that sees a way forward for someone, is steeped in absolute belief for that person and what they build, and they leave that person alone. I met with Gio consistently over the course of years. It wasn't every week, but I would meet with him and check back in. And I remember that the progression was, he was networking, whatever network engineer type thing, right? And it was like, nah, I think that's what I'm made to do, but I kind of see ministry. All right, meet back with him. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think it might be the FBI. All right, I don't think so. I think it's ministry. Yeah, all right, let me check back in. Man, I think I'm just I think it's somewhere in business. Okay, I don't think that. And then come back, man, I think I'm gonna be a trader. All right, you be that trader. I'm still gonna be calling you back here because I think you can do this. I see a way you can do this. I feel you're called to it. And I'm not going to let that go because I see what's on your life. So I'm going to keep calling you to more. Yeah. I will stand on that shore and call you until you hear and see that you are a fisherman of men. And if I'm a leader, what else have I got to do? That's literally my job. So I see leaders often don't call people because they haven't answered and they're insulted. It's like, your job is to call people until they listen. That's all you do. Is you are a vision caster so compelling that people can't turn away from it. And if you can get that, people, let me tell you, this is not where you get jobs done. The beauty of what I'm saying is not where you finally get your shiny leadership badge and you feel accomplished. The real reward of this is you're leading people to legacies. There's a reason that there's few leaders. It's tough. Yeah. But it's so much tougher if you don't feel inspired by the work. If showing up to what you've done, you take the Moses route where there came moments where he was just burdened by it. I think Moses was both a willing and reluctant leader. As I read scripture, Moses was brilliant, and the Bible says so. There's none in his house like him. But he was also a reluctant leader at times, reluctant to use all of his aptitude. He passed it off to Aaron. But I will say this, what we learn from Moses is every moment of reluctancy created pain.
Yeah, it's That's real.
I think every aspect of your reluctant leadership causes greater pain down the road. Because people that don't grow just get heavier.
Yeah.
So heavy to carry people that do not grow. And I just want to encourage you in this room, why don't you rethink your week? Let's get real practical and take what we've learned and ask ourselves if we believe it. Here's my challenge to find if you disagree with me. Let's see if your schedule reflects a shift off the back of this teaching, and you go from thinking your main priority is getting things done off a task list or getting people built and helping them get bigger and shifting their perspective and calling them to more. I wonder if you set yourself a goal off the back of today that's 3, 5, 10, or 20 people on your team. That's putting your money where your mouth is, and that's you going, I believe in this teaching. That's you going, oh, I am challenged by this. That's you going, actually, I do have to get better at building people. Why am I saying this? I'm not saying it, I'm telling you in no uncertain terms, this is the job description. This is the thing that we do. We have tasky things that are forced upon us because it's the logistics of ministry. But what we have signed up for is to build the kingdom and build people, which means that we have to get good at not being insulted and surprised when somebody is negative, still not living what the Bible says. They're not practicing when they show up yet. They don't see the merit in why we do marketing. They actually don't know why they have to be accountable about their romantic relationship. They don't understand why we have to serve. Frustrated that we would open a third service. Why does worship have to go for so long? Why don't we do communion every single week? You name it. The list will go on. Your job is to get in front of those people and actually help them, build them, and teach them. When we do that, I think the work becomes fun and becomes rewarding, because I think most people hate ministry and leadership because they avoid the work that makes it fun. If you do the work that makes it fun, it's actually not that hard. But you got to get comfortable with some things. Can I just challenge some people in this house? I'm going to send a message. I'm going to ask Eva to find the Charlotte Gamble message from ARC. And she wrote that it was a beautiful message, and the simple concept was you get caught up chasing things that are distractions and not really your main task. And some of those things were just the inability to challenge because you don't like being that challenger. But then there is a season where God comes back and he asks for an account of the work that he sent you to do. And if you've been busy on the distraction and not the calling, there is an account to be given for that. And it's a beautiful message that should inspire, shift, and help us all when it comes to the areas of our leadership that, due to our own things we need to grow in, we do not address, and we get caught up in the distractions and the other little things. I don't want to give it all away because I want you to experience it for the first time. It is a brilliant message, but I want you to hear it, and we'll post it in the thread and get it to you all. But it is a great message because, hey, I think everybody we lead is a reflection of our greatest victories and our growth. Everywhere people church is stuck is because I'm stuck there too. So I got to get unstuck, and I got to live this. This is not something I'm telling you to do. I'm convicted of it myself. How do we lead people? Whatever doesn't exist, I haven't built it. Everything is built, nothing is given. You got to earn it. It's the beauty of it. It shapes us, makes us better believers. That's the last thing I'm going to say, actually, because I feel for this. Can I just tell you that the work makes you a better version of yourself? It makes you a better believer. Because I have to learn patience. I have to learn grace. I have to learn mercy. I have to put everything that Jesus says into practice when leading people. It's a great thing to do, and everyone is better for it. Let's not be insulted or surprised by the work that waits for us in ministry and leadership. Let's be inspired by it, because we're building legacies and we're helping people understand everything that God's called them to. It's fun if we do the right work.